The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the participants and do not reflect the views of BronxNet, the KittyRose lifestyle, or the program underwriters.
This is the movement. The movement.
So you were saying that from Malcolm, or you was talking about your dad and how he interacted with people.
Yes, the concept of calling the people that he was friends with a new brother and sister, it just resonated with me. So I thought when I got into poetry that it would be appropriate that I name myself Brother Earl. And then when I understood that one of Malcolm's main mans was Brother Earl.
Oh,
It was Brother
yeah,
Earl.
all right,
So
okay.
I felt like that's the name of a soldier.
Wow.
Okay, so I just thought all that energy made it what it was supposed to be, and a lot of people, make up all these different names. Some people use their government name, so to speak, to perform, and I respect all of that, But the energy of me being a poet has a lot to do with my father. Yes, I was a first generation MC, and I was into rhyming, so to speak.
Wait, first generation MC. So are your sons also MCs then?
Um, well, my oldest son Julian was certainly into poetry. Actually, he got a scholarship for creative writing in Columbia.
Really? Okay.
But when I say first generation, when I think of like old school hip hop, and I'm saying to you that I was one of those, young fellas
Okay.
saying yes, yes,
Gotcha.
y'all, and stuff
Okay.
like that.
Okay. You ain't telling your age.
I ain't mad.
Okay.
I'm still here.
All right.
Okay, and hell, I like to believe I'm easy on the eye. Shit.
Ain't not too bad.
Right? Can I get an amen?
Amen. You can. And an ashe. How about that?
Ashe.
All
Yes.
right now. So going back to, because I cut you off, so going back to first generation MCs, I distracted you for a minute
No.
talking about just Julian, but going back to you and using that name and how it's worked.
Well, all I was really saying is yes, the concept or the love of spoken word certainly started as an MC, but it pushed itself out in critical junctures in my life. Okay, because after I was, when you go to college and you start working and stuff like
Because
that.
you were in finance.
Yeah.
Big major dollars.
Yeah, I spent the majority of my life as an accountant and a commercial lender.
Okay.
Okay, and I enjoyed every moment of it. I can't sit here and say to you I hated my job. I
Okay.
enjoyed what I did.
Okay.
I still worked with people, but the art was there and it was trying to come out. I didn't understand it at the time, but it was trying to come out. For example, remember you used to have the answer machines used to record your little message? I was so serious when it came
Your
to my
message.
messages, okay? I would rewind it, do it again, and it always rhymed, and it always was related to the music.
Okay.
I remember I had one, it was to a Faith song, and the hook was "Soon as I get home," and I said whatever I said, and I'll get back to you soon as, or even when I was upset when me and Julian's mom, broke up. I was upset, and I guess I was just doing what I was doing. And my answering machine service was Tupac. I get around, okay.
Okay.
So it was like and leave a message, and I'll get around to you, But so the point is that the energy and the gift was trying to come out. And it was just finding whatever avenue it could to live.
How old were you around this time?
This is in my
Not when it's out yet, but trying to come out and you not really knowing.
This is in my 20s because
Okay.
I was an MC in my teens. You go to college, you start corporate America, and you know you're not rapping anymore. You know you're about the business of being grown and having children or whatever. But the gift is trying to come out. I just didn't overstand at that moment. But there are critical instances in my life where the art would not be denied anymore. And there are two critical instances. One was an emotional breakup I had with a sister. Me and her, you know, in love with each other. At least, you know, whatever you think love is, we are. And she had a situation where she had some miscarriages, and it broke her
With
spirit.
you?
Yes, with me.
Wow. Okay.
And it broke her spirit, and so much to the point that, you know, like, she didn't really want to be bothered. It wasn't necessarily it was my fault. It was just what she was going through.
Okay.
Not that I understood that completely at that moment, but in an effort to try to you know, reach her, I did something I thought I would never do.
Which was what? Write a letter?
I wrote her a book of poems.
A book.
A book.
I said a letter. You wrote a book of poems.
Literally, okay. And I amassed this collage of some of our pictures and wrote like about 10, 12 poems and created a book and gave it to her. And at this time, I've always considered myself more verbal. So the idea of writing, that just seemed like I remember when it happened, I was like what just happened here?
Wow.
Like, you know, like I knew something happened. I couldn't completely, I just knew something happened. And that was like around 1996. Okay, I knew something happened. And
It's almost 20 years. Right?
oh, it was 20 years.
Yeah, over, right.
Right. I knew something happened. I couldn't quite, you know, and I had experimented with writing some poems and share it. So like in the late 90s, I did a little bit, but I wasn't knee deep. But in 1999, my father died.
And I was going to ask you, were you
Yeah.
close to him?
Extremely so.
Okay. So you don't come from that statistic of not having a father.
If you, the first album I put out, the main poem on there is the poem about my father. So, but when he passed, that kicked the door down. You know, especially when your people pass and you become the gatherer of their things. I start finding poems that my father wrote.
Wow.
Okay, and on a couple of my albums, there's at least one poem that my father wrote. On my first album, I had one of the poems that he wrote. I had Julian recite on the album. So, so you find these poems that your father wrote, and then you remember things that he said. One of my father's key statements when I was young was, "Listen to the spoken word." When my father said that, that was, I ain't gonna keep talking to you, bro. Okay, you gonna figure this out, or it's gonna go down.
Right.
Okay, so what were they calling poetry? Spoken word. So I'm finding poems, and I'm remembering the things that he used to say. I remember how language was such a vibrant part of his belief system for young black men. He believed that if you spoke well, people couldn't make assumptions about your intelligence. So language skills was very important in my house.
Were both your parents in the house?
Yes.
Okay, so
yes.
your parents were married, stayed
Yes.
together. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
The whole nine.
And how many siblings are there?
I have an older brother, but he had passed he died in 92.
Okay.
So, I mean, the point is language was very important in my house.
Wow.
So I felt all of these things was a sign. I just thought all these things were a sign. Okay, that's the best that I could say it to you. And I literally woke up in the middle of the night and wrote a poem to my father. And
did you read a poem at his homegoing?
no, I was not. The poem that I wrote for him at his homegoing is at the obituary. Okay, that was a poem in a manner of speaking.
Okay.
So the bottom line is that those confluence of events, I believe, pushed me through that door. The art would not be denied. It had enough of my bullshit, and it was like, I'm coming out. And
Is that when you left corporate America?
well, for a few years, I was kind of doing both.
Okay.
I mean, and it's kind of funny. Like literally, I would like at the time I had a house in Jersey. I worked in the Bronx, and I was going to poetry events in New York, just like out and a few in Jersey. But sometimes when I went to like the New York poetry events, you get off work at maybe 5 or 6, and the event ain't starting until 8. I'm suited and booted. Now I know if I drive home, I'm not coming back. So there were plenty of times I would be in my car and change in the car.
Okay.
Or go in the spot and change in the bathroom.
Okay.
Okay. Sometimes I would keep the suit on or whatever, but it was just a interesting dynamic because poetry is that bohemian look or whatever. So they sitting there, you coming up at the spot, you suited, booted, you driving the car that you drive, okay, and
a Jag.
okay, like so they like who's
And
this, right? Who's this bougie? Until I've said this to some of my friends, but I've never said this out loud or in a forum like this. One of my best friends in poetry, Qasim Allah, good dude.
Light skin, short. He's in LA now, or
no?
Son?
Who?
He has a son. Is it the short guy? He had locks. And
He used to have locks.
Right. Okay.
Well, first off, a giant in hip hop and poetry, good dude.
Okay.
But in the beginning time, he basically thought I was some bougie dude from Long Island trying to, infiltrate the culture. And because obviously, infiltrate the culture. So, like, in that early time, he didn't, this is because of my appearance, this is, he thought a certain way. And he said something that it remains to me to this day, because he shared this to me, because we wound up being, real good friends. He was like, yo, E, I really thought you was like some dude from Long Island. He said, but then I noticed. I go to spots in Harlem, you there. I go to spots in Brooklyn, you there, Newark. But you're not running out checking on your car. You're not nervous.
Okay.
It's like, and he's like, wait a minute. He must be okay. He must be comfortable in the hood. And that's when he figured, that's when it became, when
You're
it became
one of us.
right. Like, wait a minute. Okay, the Long Island dude got a car outside. He nervous.
Right.
Okay, he got he's scared. Okay, look, I'm in the hood. I'm comfortable in the
and
hood.
I walk with the creator. So I'm
Exactly.
Good. Right. Okay.
Exactly. I don't walk in fear, but this is, I'm comfortable regardless.
But he was able to acknowledge that. Okay.
Right. Exactly.
He might be someone I can kick it with. Let me introduce him.
Well, it's not what I think, and that's why I have so much respect for him, because so many people are married to their first impression. Okay,
Yes.
that they are incapable of relearning or coming to another conclusion about a situation, and it's really what gets us in so much trouble. Okay, like a lot of times your perception of what you're seeing is filtered through the BS you've been through or feeling at this moment.
Have you had that when it came to dealing with women?
Of course.
Okay.
Duh.
Right. That's why I asked.
Duh. Okay. Of course. And there's a saying that they say in the sense that in the new millennium, you're gonna have to learn, relearn, and unlearn. And the folks that cannot learn, relearn, and unlearn are gonna have problems. Okay, and you have to just come to terms with that. Okay, maybe it's not what you think it is or what it was. Now what? What are you going to do now? And so I try to live by that mantra. Okay, of learning, relearning, unlearning. I spend no time complaining. Whatever the situation is, I deal with it. Yes. Again, that's another lesson gleaned from my father.
Wow.
You know, none of that. Like I can remember whatever happened, and I'm concerned, nervous, and I, go to my pops because he was the godfather. Everyone came to my pops. Okay, my big cousins, whatever, they all sat in the room, like asking the godfather questions.
Really? Okay.
You have no idea. And
did that ever create any type of jealousy?
Not for me. These were my older cousins. These were grown men going to the OG for answers.
Okay.
And
so you didn't mind sharing him?
No. And I can remember coming to my father with different situations and problems, and he would literally just say, "What is the worst that can happen? I want to know that now."
Oh, okay.
What is the worst that can happen? I say what I think the worst is going to happen. He internalizes that, and we move on from there. And that is the way I walk through this space. What is the worst that can happen?
So two questions. How has that helped you as a father now, and father to two boys? Not, you have no daughters.
No.
Two boys. Your parents had two boys.
I go too hard.
You're having two boys. How has that correlation helped you? And then two, coming from a two-parent household, are both your boys from the same mother?
No, they are 15 years apart.
Oh, sugar shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Josiah was a oops.
So Julian's the oldest,
and Josiah is the youngest.
Okay, so how long were you with Julian's mom? And we're still gonna go back to that first question. How long were you with Julian's mother?
Between 6 and 7 years. We were together
Okay, so together.
Yeah.
So coming again from a two-parent household, how did that affect you when that ended? And then, since how did that affect you? How when that ended? How again has the relationship with your father been able to, trickle down to you as a father to two young men?
Well, first off, of course, I was extremely disappointed when we couldn't work it out. In hindsight, I am very comfortable that we certainly loved each other. We certainly have love for each other right now. I have nothing but respect for Devon, great sister.
Okay.
And we have been able to co-parent in a very effective way.
Did we just high five you on that one?
Okay. And I'm going to try to say this and keep my composure, but I remember us going to Julian's high school for some parents' teachers.
Okay.
And Julian's friends said to him, "Wow, your parents get along. Like, my parents don't even talk to each other." And I'm like, so I want
that's another question, but I need to answer still.
Right.
Okay, because this is, again, organic, so the sidebar, because I always wonder, and I'm always bothered, why can't parents, after it may end, can't get along? Why is there that frustration? Like, I understand that temporary part of anger and disappointment that happens for a couple of years or a couple of months, but why is there such a disconnect that eventually we can't get past that and still co-parent and get along and have relationships? Jada calls it the new second families, so why not embark or embrace the new family being the second family, which is the new family structure? So before you say that, again, you guys got along, it didn't end where you guys are still together raising your son, but you're still raising your son.
Right.
How has what you learned or the tools you got from your father helped you in being a father?
Well, I think we all have to make decisions on what's real important and what isn't all that important, and how you're able to do that with any effectiveness is that you have to at least have your ego in check. Okay, you got to at least have it. That doesn't mean that you're supposed to be a doormat, but you have to at least be able to make critical decisions. Okay, what is more important to me? Okay.
So you're saying this to yourself?
Yeah, what's more important to me? Like, for instance, I'll give you a great example. When my family has holiday functions, I'll come with my lady I'm seeing, Devon will come with her man or whatever. My son will be there. Me and the dude is cool. Like, I don't have time. It's not worth it. Okay, what's more important for me is the example that I show my sons. I know that I have shown how a grown man comports himself to my children, and still living my life, but still very connected to what they're doing. And look, me and her still close. Okay, she's still a hitter to the left of me. Okay, if I sent up for the bat signal, okay, she coming through.
Okay, so why is that not? Why do you think that that's not more of the norm? Because the norm is the second families. So why is it the norm that we get along?
Well, I just think there's a lot of outside noise that people haven't been able to really process. I mean, this will go on an incredible sidebar, but I think, I'm not the first to say this, but when you think of the civil rights movement and the women's movement, to some level, they were counterproductive to the black family. Why in the world would the CIA be funding a women's lib movement? What is in it for them? Okay, things that make you go Okay, and so I believe that has created a sort of disconnect and a sort of competitive energy that gets in the way of real partnership. Like, I've had an argument with a sister that I was seeing that the whole idea of partnership is foreign to her. What do you mean? Like, what are you talking about? Okay, I said, find any couple that you want that is actually doing something meaningful together.
Okay.
There's some concept of partnership between them. Okay, it may not be exactly 50-50, but if he went to the store and bought the food, maybe you supposed to cook it. Okay. If he cleaned the bathroom, maybe you supposed to clean the kitchen or something. Right. Some sort of partnership.
And that was foreign to her.
No, yes, it was foreign to her.
And she was a sister.
She was a sister.
You don't date out another than but sisters?
I have, look, this is not about hate. Love is love.
Yes.
Love is love.
Yes.
But
the preference is.
Right, but in the immortal words of Red Fox, okay, if you see me with a white woman, I'm holding her for the police. Okay.
Right.
Okay, but it's no hate.
So as a sister, she could not comprehend partnership. What
right.
was she one of those spoiled sisters that you had to do everything for her, or she didn't do anything? And
it was like, when I say disconnect, see, there is I think women that are still married to the concept of the guy's supposed to do all of this and any and everything, and and I'm really supposed to do is look pretty or whatever. Okay, and that's just not our reality.
Right.
Okay, I even gave her examples. I remember coming up, my father paid the rent, my mother paid the phone bill and the electricity. Okay, my father paid the cable bill. Did he spend more? Of course, but it was still a partnership. Okay, like, and
how long did that relationship last?
We went back and forth for a minute. I mean, I certainly have love for her. I wish, like, sometimes you just wish you could, download some realness in there, But we move forward.
So I agree with you on certain things in regards to the distractions that have been put into place with other things that we were fighting for and not really taking care of at home. So you kind of feeling that way, how has that manifested in now your words? Like, how has that manifest to is there a certain theme that you go on with your words, Brother Earl? Is it a mission? Is it a path? Is it a certain type of, I want to be known for this because this is important to me? Or are you just, whatever the spirit moves me, I'm just going to write and I'm just going to spit? Do you?
Well, My little tagline always used to be, I am a conscious, erotic revolutionary with a strong sense of family kind of poet. So I write about a number of different things. I'd like to believe I do have some relationship poems in my arsenal that are written from observation and experience that really isn't about um, blaming one side or the other, but just trying to distill the issues because that's what I believe a poet's supposed to do. Whatever those issues are, is to put it in a format and language that people can understand and absorb. And um, at the end of the day, my mission really isn't to change your mind. My mission really is to get you to think. And that's the hardest part to do in this matrix because you've been so programmed not to think. You ever notice sometimes you do some things and you didn't even realize you did it? That's programming. It's programming. And to deprogram yourself takes some ish. Like some of the books in my library is about NLP, neuro linguistic programming. Okay, like understand.
Episode 1, by the way, because we just had someone else to talk about that same thing.
So you have to understand that you have been programmed. Like I can laugh about it now. I can still remember commercials I saw forever, ever ago. How do I remember that? Oh, when E.F. Hutton talks, people listen.
And I don't know when the last time that commercial came on. Right.
Okay.
Right.
Being programmed on so many levels, and I think.
So, is your words now a way of reprogramming?
I would hope so.
Okay.
Again, I can't. My mission can't be to change your mind. My mission has to be to get you to think and consider. And if I've gotten you to think and consider, I've done what I was supposed to do. One of the most after 18 years, 19 years, one way of a performing, one of the most profound experiences I have as being a poet was doing a poem. I believe it was in 2000, and it was my father poem, the poem I wrote that was dedicated from my father. And this dude, after my set, walked up to me and he said, "Yo, I don't even talk to my father." He said, "But some of that you said," and I didn't press it. When a man has an issue with his pops, it's not for you to, okay, and I let it go. I came to that spot a week or 2 weeks later. He approached me again and said he went out to lunch with his father. Whatever happens from here on is gravy. Okay, I'm on my square.
So when was the moment that as a poet you said, let me go into the prison system, let me work with young boys?
Okay. As usual, I can't sit here and act like it was some grand plan, but things happen for a reason, and it leads to certain things. In 2002, Joe Frazier's daughter, Jackie Frazier, had seen me perform somewhere. I can't even remember. It's 15 years ago. Anyway, she asked would I accompany her to some prisons in Philly.
Okay.
And I did a set for actually girls at the prison industrial complex in Philly. This was in 2002, and it was a great experience, all things considered. I mean, obviously,
you're in a prison,
you're in
right,
a prison,
but
This is the movement.